Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Mark Isaac Potter Presents. This is show number 2 with Etsuko Morita Fields, and she's a delightful human being. That's just not my opinion, but the Obamas called me recently and said, be very nice to her because she's both one of our peeps and our homies. So I better be very careful. So, let's go. Do you want to talk about the NAR ruling or you would rather not? Where are we at on that?
So as many of you may know, as of August 17th, the rule has changed quite a bit. The biggest difference is that we no longer can mention the buyer compensation, the commission for the buyer agent.
Okay.
Now, I would like to be careful when I answer the questions because it's still brand new. I
Right.
have been through quite a bit of training through our company on this one, but
Well,
it's
now let me,
a lot
because
of
I
new
don't
questions.
understand either. I
Right.
I mentioned it to several realtors, and I promise I don't understand. But is it that the buyers used to provide a commission, and now they do not? Is that what's happening?
No, it's the other way around. It was the seller. Sellers are obliged to pay a certain amount of compensation, the commission to the buyer.
Right.
And that had to be posted prior to even buyer visiting the property. So every property had dimensions of how many percentage of the buyer commission would be paid into it. Now it's
Okay.
not allowed.
Okay. Uh, is there other things you want to say? I've heard you say that you guys got a lot of training.
Yes.
I'm looking at my
So
notes here. You
just
got a lot of,
because the buyer agent's commission is no longer allowed to be printed on MLS does not mean that buyer agent will now be working for free or anything like that. So it will still exist. In most cases, all of the realtors know, if you have spoken with any realtors, everybody knows that it's not just your marketing that just brings buyers over to the property that you want to sell. It's usually the buyer agent who is studying all the new properties coming onto the market. What we are is pretty much the realtors, especially buyer agents, are matchmakers with the right
okay.
individuals to matching. We are matching them with the proper properties that the
Okay.
buyers would like to move to. So for that reason, a lot of the sellers are still today interested in paying the commission amount. It's just a matter
Well,
of how it's going to be negotiated during the negotiation period when the offer is submitted and how it's presented.
does it happen? Is that negotiation happening between the two realtors, or the buyer and sellers don't actually talk to each other until things get a little closer to us close, right? Or
So usually what happens is that us agents will be calling prior to us showing the property. The best practice is we call the other agent beforehand to double check and see if
okay.
the buyer agent commission will be available. And
All right.
as a buyer agent, I will have to also have this discussion and go over a buyer representation agreement with our buyers and explain about different scenarios of what happens and whether or not the seller will be willing to pay, and if they don't, what could potentially happen. So that needs to be agreed upon prior to me showing properties to the buyers.
And it needs to be in writing, right? There need to be some
Yes,
documents signed.
yes, sir.
They're signed by both the buyer and the seller, or
Well, so that needs to be done by the seller, by the buyers, if I were the representing the buyers. So I have to educate my buyers and go over all the agreements, make sure that the buyer does not have any issues with that. Meanwhile, when I'm listing the property, I'm also talking to my sellers, go over different scenarios, talk about the buyer representation agreement. Are you willing to pay compensation to the buyer agent? And how would you like to do that?
Okay, now is it coming as a surprise to the both the buyers and the sellers, or have they heard about it in the common press?
A lot of times it seems that my client, I was first talking about my clients, it seems that a lot of them have already heard about it because of the news. Even my
Okay.
international clients have asked me about this.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Is there there's nothing more you want to say about that probably until it kind of shakes out, or
Probably, but the most important thing for the general public to know is that this is a very important matter, and for those of you who are planning on selling the properties, you want to be sure to ask as many questions as possible to your agent prior to you
right,
listing the property. And then for the buyers, it used to be that even buyer's representation agreement, not everybody was signing it previously. It did exist, it has been around for
right, but
decades. It's
yeah,
just that
it wasn't
it
active
was a
yet.
practice for many people to use. It's just that now that with this new change, it is extremely important that your agent explain to you about the buyer representation agreement prior to you seeing any properties. Of course, you probably want to be able to communicate with your agent
Yeah.
to make sure that things would work between you and your agent. But then right before you see the property, you will have to be sure to get informed about the property if the seller of that particular property is willing to pay the buyer agent commission, and then
Right.
that you're signing. And then you don't have to sign for a certain period of time. You can also go by just the property by property if you wanted it to be that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, has your commission gone down as a result of this change or not?
Not so far.
Okay. Okay. All right. No, that's good. I'm glad. I
Hmm.
have some other questions about real estate itself.
Yes.
And one thing I guess I want to get out of the way now, and I always like to ask this because I want to make sure that people call you
Thank
and
you.
get a hold of you. And I want them to know that you're the best realtor in Hawaii. Don't tell the other people from Hawaii that I've interviewed because I said the same thing on camera for them.
For
uh,
sure.
you're the prettiest so far because the others have all been the guys. So uh, tell us tell us what way you like to be communicated with. Do you prefer email, text, voicemail, carrier pigeon? What do you prefer? What
I would
different
say
people
all of the
surprise me
above.
with different huh?
I would say all of the above. I want to be
Okay.
able to, Zoom is always really good if the person is not here. So that, I mean, being able to see the facial expression. Sometimes over the phone, people say, oh, okay, I understand, but they might look very excited or very disappointed
Yeah.
unless you can see the person. So I usually request, if the person is not here yet, then I usually request to meet via Zoom. At the
Okay.
very least, I would like to be able to talk to the person. And then, of
Okay.
course, I do the follow-up emails and text messages. It's because, when you're on the phone or on this call
That's
for
business. Yeah.
half an hour, sometimes you misunderstand certain things or you forget a part of it. So just to be sure that I do have
Right.
the correct information from you,
Okay.
I just
Good.
combination.
All right. Um. So a Zoom call or meeting,
Hmm.
and some other things I wanted to ask are we talked about different states in the United States in the past show,
Hmm.
and we said that a lot of people from like California, Texas, Washington tend to come to Hawaii and either buy to stay or buy a rental property or other types of income. I don't know if there's other types of income purchases on residentials. And you don't do commercial, right? Have you ever done any commercial?
I attempted to do commercial. It did not go through for that. But I'd rather my focus is more on the residential.
Okay. Do you get people, because Hawaii is such a wonderful international place, do
Hmm.
you get people from other countries coming? And if so, what are the most common countries that people come in, either to stay or as a rental property?
I've worked, so as previously mentioned, I because of my background, I do get a lot of Japanese people.
Right.
I have worked with people, I have clients from Canada,
Mhm.
Australia, Hong Kong, Taiwan.
So
Those
would
are
you say
Singapore.
mostly English speaking people come?
Mostly, even the people from, except for my Japanese clients, the people from Taiwan, Hong Kong, are actually English speaking.
So I wonder, is there a culture in Hawaii for non-English speaking people, like Swedish or people from Morocco or something tend to come there? Because like in California, we have the largest sumo. We have a large sumo community. We have a lot of Punjabi people. California has a lot of different smaller ethnic communities. That's not the case in Hawaii, I guess. Or
A lot of mixture of people from all over the world.
okay,
Say it's a true melting pot. Well, to some extent, I'm not really sure if it's really melting together. Some places
yeah,
we are.
it's really not melting all that. It's there, but it's not.
But it's a very interesting place, and you can find all sorts of really different, interesting cultural things here on the
Yeah,
island. It's not necessarily certain particular culture, but that's
that's
another reason that a lot of people feel comfortable and are interested, and
yeah,
or may sometimes feel that this is very exotic, but because it's really different.
yeah. Well, they're speaking of culture. Culture is something I really care about because I'm a writer.
Hmm.
So we have a lot of individual Hawaiian cultures on the islands, right?
Oh,
I mean, the
absolutely.
Hawaiian, people from the mainland think that the Hawaiian culture is one thing, but actually it's different groups. I want to call them tribes, but I don't know if that's accurate. But like we talked about Molokai, even within Molokai, there's one or two different groups, right? Or not?
I'm not really sure. I have not studied.
Molokai is a little off to itself.
Molokai is has a very small community. Matter of fact, Molokai it comes under Honolulu Board of Realtors. So we have communicated with a lot of agents over there, and as far as I know, they only have within the entire island they only have one traffic light.
Okay. All right.
But it's more laid back. Generally speaking, the fact that you only have one traffic light kind of shows
Yeah, it
that
shows you're
they're
not
more
going
laid
too
back.
many
People are
places.
not in a rush
All
as
right.
much, like Oahu. Yes.
So most people would buy on the Big Island or on the Big Island being Hawaii or on Oahu or
Mm-hmm.
maybe on Kauai, right? And that's pretty
Hawaii
much
or
where the main, huh?
Maui is also very popular.
Who is?
Maui.
Maui. Oh yeah, I forgot about Maui.
Hmm.
Where was the fire? The big fire.
It was on the north side
Of which island?
of Maui,
Okay.
Lahaina.
And that's what do you have any thoughts about that? I mean, the theory here, one of the theories here is that it was, and I don't mean to get too weird, but one of the theories here was that developers planned the fire to get the land because people there didn't want to sell. They wanted to keep their own culture.
I really hope it's not. I mean, I really think it's just a rumor that some people created. It was just a series of coincidences, unfortunate coincidences.
But
But I
there were so many coincidences happening at the same time to cause such a truly terrible fire that ruined ruined
to
hundreds of years of culture.
It is it's so sad. A matter of fact, our company, Berkshire Hathaway, has offices over there. And
Okay.
right after the fire, we had a convention in a big island and run into some of my colleagues over there from Maui. And it was so hard and so sad. And they told us that our Lahaina office is burned down. And some of our colleagues lost their homes and everything. So it's very hard. It is very hard. And
And of course, you have a lot of volcanic activity too.
that will be, yeah, over in Big Island.
Okay, okay. Because I have another friend who's a musician who lives in Hilo,
Mm-hmm.
and he talks about the. I'd never heard of them before, but I think they're called like lava tunnels or something. Is there's
Yes,
such
we
a
do have
thing,
lava
right?
tunnels. Yes.
And I'm like, what? You're doing what?
Yeah, Big Island is a very, very magical place. And as many of my friends from Japan tell me that it seems that whenever you're in Hilo, it feels like the time is flowing differently.
Okay,
It's
in a good way. In a
in
good
a
way.
very, very good way. Matter of fact, I just had have this beautiful listing in Hilo. We just put it into escrow yesterday when we went to visit this property for the first time. Oh my goodness, it is such a wonderful, beautiful place to be. Great place
Okay,
to prepare, I would say.
okay.
Yes.
Do you have an opinion about? There's been a lot of news articles over here in California
Mm,
about uh, you know big time billionaires, the one top 1% of the 1%, like Zuckerberg,
hmm.
going over there and buying like 2 or 300 acres and building a huge thing and bunkers and all kinds of stuff. Does that impact you guys in any way in your real estate field? Do people resent it on the island? What is, because over here we resent it.
Right.
We're, I mean, we do live on the mainland, but we're very protective of Hawaii in our own way because
Hmm.
it's probably the one of the few tropical, I mean, we have probably Guam and stuff, but it's like the one tropical place that we can call one of the states because, well, obviously Hawaii came into the Union in 59. So, is there any thought about that, or day to day it doesn't matter?
That's matter. It makes a big difference. So on one side, I'm really happy to be able to assist a lot of investors purchasing properties, but at the same time, what really um, pains me to see is to see the local native Hawaiian people having to have to leave the land because it's getting to be a little too expensive. But then again, by those people bringing businesses or moving to Hawaii or to talk about it, talk about how wonderful Hawaii is, we also do um, get more businesses coming into the island that would end up creating businesses, more jobs for the locals as well.
Right,
So
right. It's a
it's
two-way street. Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Do
I
you
mean, the
feel
land
like go ahead. No, don't let me
the
interrupt.
land is really limited too,
Yeah.
right? We cannot just
No, no,
keep
it's
on building.
extreme. Yeah.
So it's really it saddens me to see a lot of the locals end up leaving the island.
But it from what little bit I've read, it seems like the government of Hawaii is trying to protect the local culture.
Mhm.
Do you feel like they're doing a good job of it or they're not really doing a good job of it?
It's hard. I know what they're trying to do. It may not necessarily be working because every story has two sides or more
Right,
sides.
right.
One of the things that's impacting Oahu here is the Airbnb, the short-term rental. So unless you're in certain areas or the property has already had um, the license, to run short-term rentals and have been paying the proper taxes, you're not allowed to have, those businesses
Okay.
anymore, which in a way it's a good thing so
It's a
that the
good
homes
thing. I
are
would think it
saved.
would be a good thing. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's, with this, more homes would be available for the people who actually need it. However, it's not 100%, it's not
Yeah.
really working out to be that way either.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of locals who have multiple homes and who are counting on those incomes by running those Airbnb too. And now they're not allowed to have that business anymore. So it
Okay.
is very difficult to be able to have a perfect world here.
Yeah. Well, and true everywhere. We have a big housing project in California. In fact, several
Mhm.
big housing projects because we have a lot of homeless. So there's two aspects to this question. Number one is does a place like downtown Honolulu have a lot of homeless or just a few or
We do. We continuously have homeless issues here,
and
unfortunately.
is the state government trying to build like a tiny home village around or because we're doing a lot of tiny home villages in California.
Mm. I know that they make attempts. Matter of fact, they do. We have a really nice one right in the middle of Honolulu, but it's just not enough. And it
It's
seems
limited.
that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Huh. All right. Well, we're closing out our second show, and I know you've got another appointment with, I remember if it was Oprah or Barack, but for lunch, they're taking you out to lunch because you're the more important person of the two.
Wouldn't that be
Um,
nice?
do you have anything you want to leave our audience with? Any thoughts? Or the other thing, there's that question. And then the other question is I always like to inspire young people. So if there's any young people watching, or other people who want to think about becoming a realtor, what advice would you give them about it?
My was my nearly 20 years of experience. I wish that well, the good things that I have done was that I came to a large company that could properly train me. And that's how you want to do the business. You want to be able to do it right by going to a company that can actually train you right. And
Okay.
then just be active, proactive, meet people. Don't be just sitting around and not doing anything. You have to make sure that everybody around you know that you're a realtor. And
Okay.
also, it's not just going after new clients, but it's also extremely important for you to connect with fellow realtors, and not just in the
Okay.
Oahu area, but also throughout the country.
Why is that? Why the realtor to realtor peer group thing?
Well, so that you get to learn. This
Okay.
business is all about learning. The law changes every single day. The marketing changes from the time that I started this business. It's an entirely, we didn't really have social media, when we
Well,
started to.
yeah.
Now, today, if you don't do any social media, it will be a very hard business to be in.
No, that's true. Yeah.
So
All
things
right.
change
Well,
continuously. So network with people, talk about it through a lot of different ideas with each other, help each other. And different realtors are not your enemies, they're friends. So
okay,
you
good.
only keep
All
on
right.
learning and supporting each other.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, been visiting with Etsuko Morita Fields, who is a marvelous human being and, as I said, a close friend of the Obamas. I guess I ought to say once on camera that I'm joking, just in case Barack doesn't call me again. And she's a very exceptional person and someone great to work with. So if you're thinking of buying property, either to move over to Hawaii or to invest, consider giving her a call. She's lovely. This
Thank
has
you very much.
been Mark Isaac Potter Presents. Folks, we'll see you next time. Thank you, young lady.
Thank you very
Take
much,
care.
Mark. It's
All
such an
right.
honor.
Bye bye. Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Bye bye.